So the car will pull up right on the outside pit wall. Everything on this is live. You see the antennas and everything's live data that comes to the car. So when I'm out on the racetrack, Joe always gives a hard time about this because he's a driver too. Is when I tell him I'm flat out wide open, but he can look and see if I really am or not, right? So you really can't fib too much on
There's no more line.
No more line. And this gives us so many things. Like I have so many controls in the car and so many different maps that the education that I get on what's going on in the car. From changing weight in the car, we call it a weight jacker. We try to make the car turn better. I got sway bars, anti-roll bars, fuel mixtures. Everything I change, everything I do, they know it because it comes live on all the telemetry. So then they can evaluate if it was better or worse, and then I can give them my feedback if I felt it was better or worse. For example, this is one of the graphs that we would see, and what it does is I go around the race course, it'll do a track map. So no matter what the course is like, it'll actually draw a track map out of what we're going around, whether it's oval, road course, whatever it may be. The red color tells us that there's G force in the car, so it's being loaded one way or another, and it feels side load, side G. G-forces, and then the blue is the straightaways, where we're just having acceleration. So now that we have a track map, then we go back to this area that tells us, goes to your, per se, your fastest lap, and where you lifted, where you got back on the throttle, what percentage throttle you had, and then we can overlay it with now Rafa as a teammate. That's where we're going to be able to help each other out so much is we get twice the information at the same time. What the series has done is really cut back on our testing times because of the expense of what it costs to go rent racetracks and do testing and not having the full safety crews there and just so many different things. So they're really limiting us to test time. So when you have a 2-3 car team, you get twice the information in the same amount of time, and that's what we're going to be able to do with Rafa and myself. And then we can take his fastest lap and my fastest lap, overlay them, and see who's where. And we put completely different setups on the car. Maybe my setup's better in this particular area, but his is better in another area. And then we got to figure out, as Jill was saying, I maybe have the fastest lap time out there. We're on top of the chart as far as being speed, but I may have pulled up behind the car and I can't pass it because in dirty air, the car's not reacting right. I can't, I'm good by myself, but I'm not good in other cars. So we have to change the car, and they have all that information that tells us which way we think we need to go. And then we save all of it from year to year, from track to track. And so we can go back there and hopefully be quicker the next time. This next chart is basically, this will be live as well, is what's going on the racetrack with the other drivers. How fast you are compared to how fast they are. This happens to be the finish of the Indy 500 last year, I think it was. And it has the money, Jill always knows the money that we want. I don't know why that's on there. But all I can always tell you is not near enough. And so we need to get that up. But every session I come in, I look at that. That's the first thing, kind of to gauge yourself where you are with other drivers. And another thing that the leagues, the Indy Racing League gives us is the information. There's timelines around the entire race course. And they know how fast we're going, and we know how fast we're going in segments of the racetrack. And so we can break it down to segments, not only comparing to where my teammate and I are and knowing what we have in our setups, but that gives us the other team's information just on speed on where they are. So we can really compare to who's the fastest in certain segments and where we compare and where we need to be faster or where we're really good. This last screen, this is going to go back and forth a little bit, but this explains a little bit about the timelines they have in the racetrack around the course. From pit lane, we have a speed limit when we come to make our pit stops, which is very important because you lose, at 200 miles an hour, you're traveling a football field a second, so 300 feet a second. So if you're just a little bit slow coming into the pits and you lose 1 second, that means the guy on the track, he just gained a football field on you or more, because we're normally on the ovals over 200 miles an hour. So it's very critical to get into the pits and get out of the pits very fast. But while we're in that section of pit lane, we have a speed limit. They have timelines going through there, so they know if we speed, and then there's penalties that go along with that. So we know, the team knows what gear to be in. We actually have on our cars now, we just push a button and it keeps on that speed limit. So if I speed, it's the engineer's fault because he's the one that set it. So that's easy.
So all that tech and use cruise control, huh?
Yeah, right. And we use cruise control now. Yeah. And now some of the series don't, they go by RPM, but makes it a little bit easier for what we're doing because we're so many things to concentrate on. Just makes one more thing a little bit easier. The next page this goes to is actually, if you guys were to get online, the IndyCar.com, and want to watch our races live, you can go with any of the drivers. You can tune into any of the drivers. It has certain, some like how much throttle they're using, how much brakes they're using, the RPM the car has, and what position they're in. So, and sometimes the voiceover, I think you can get audio as well through the internet, and so that's another nice thing for a fan.
You can get the earphone talk?
You can get our headphone talk, yeah. I think that the series does it. I know you can get it at the Speedway with radios, and I'm almost sure that you can get it on IndyCar.com.
That's not confident?
No, it's all open to anybody, yeah. We listen to other teams. That's Jill's job, to listen to what other teams are doing, make friends and pit together and things like that. So, but that, as far as on my side, this information that I really use, and then after I get this information, we go to the team, sits down along with Jill, the owners, the engineers, and debrief, and Rafa as another driver, and just figure out what we have to do, what steps next to be faster, and we go off the feel of what we're feeling as drivers, but we go off and all the information that we've got from the technology that we're given. So.
Track condition and weather information there?
Yeah, that's one of them right there on top of that pole that has, we put a wind meter on top. It tells us the wind speed, the ambient temperature, the track temperature. It has all that, and it's all, we have that for every second of the day that goes by. And so we know when I cut a quick lap, that lap, we know exactly what ambient, what track tip, what wind speed, all that is. Yeah.
What have you learned a new language as the results of the specifications of the data that he's able to feed to you, so that what used to be an intuitive language that you used as a race car, now have you learned to speak differently back to that?
You've had to.
You have?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, Jill and I started, our careers are parallel. We're pretty much the same age. We started racing at the same time, the same things. And back when we started, we didn't have anything.
Yeah.
We weren't even a
negative camber or something.
They gave me an oil pressure gauge, so if it dropped down, it's going to blow up. That's about it, right?
So keep an eye on the whole.
Yeah, but you had a whole language of how you would explain tire, tire pressure, slickness.
Exactly, and this is another source of information. It tells the team for example, the car may be feeling great, and they say, hey, you need to pit right now. You got a tire going down.
Yeah.
So they have the air pressure and sees that I could be getting in trouble soon. Or back to the thing is, all of a sudden I pick up some speed. They look at tire pressure. We know that's a good tire pressure for the car. Just all that information comes, and we have to have at any one time. There's probably 10 people around these cars.
Yeah.
This opens up both ways, screens up both sides, and everybody has their job. We have guys just doing the engines, just looking at the engine information. Guys looking at just the tires and the throttle traces, make sure that's all working. And when I change things in the car, change dashes, they know. They just all keeps it up to date.
Dave is a reasonable and experienced driver. You got some guys that come in and
they don't want to talk.
They come in and say, okay, the car feels like a blender.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was asking. That's exactly what I was.
Yeah, go ahead.
So obviously we're moving to where you're collecting a ton of data.
Yeah.
How many computers, what size farm do you guys invest in? Is it 1,000 computers, 100 computers?
That's a better answer.
What is this? This is a lot of information.
Yeah, we have the most powerful laptops money can buy right now, because our application as well is very unique in the sense that we do a lot of this simulation and analysis, on the stand. So the car stops, if we don't get the data via telemetry, the car stops, you plug in, download all the data into one computer, and then that gets distributed to all the other engineers. So that's a key feature. So they're here, then they move, the session finishes, they move to the race truck. I don't know the spec, but it has a pretty powerful workstation in the race truck that we continue to store all that data, and sometimes we can get pretty sophisticated and send that data to remote locations with people that are doing engineering elsewhere in the world, and the same setup essentially happens in the workshop.